Every so often, there's a reason to go to the movies. Here's 4.
Judge Myers?
Yes.
Rev up your love life with these tips.
Do you need anything else, Your
A
Honor?
man of your dreams is just a click away.
No, I don't. I'm fine, thank you.
Yep.
We're 4 smart, successful women. I don't need a man. What is the point?
Who still has any interest?
Ladies, I am not going to let us become those people who stop living before they stop living. I would like to introduce you to Christian Grey.
This is for mature audiences. Certainly sounds like us. Oh, wow.
Slim?
My, oh my.
What's it been, 40 years?
That's impossible. That would mean I was only 6. This is going to be a game changer. Oh, you need some help?
I don't think you have that on quite right.
Can you get me some scissors? I can't feel my feet. Do you even remember your last date? We're talking Nixon era.
Pretty sure he knows you're in here.
I don't care what society says about women our age.
You are better at this than you think you are.
The choice should be ours. Shut up and kiss me. Do we want another bottle?
Yes.
Spirit Riding Free is the story of a 12-year-old girl named Lucky who moves with her father from the big city to the frontier.
Smell that country air.
Smells like manure.
Lucky, she's a total fish out of water.
You only have one chance to make a proper first impression.
Some first impression I'm gonna make. I look like a marshmallow with feet. She's new to school, she's just new to everything.
She's finding herself, and she comes along Prue and Abigail.
Hi, I like your hair ribbon.
Well, I like your horses. They're beautiful.
We are the pals. It's awesome.
Pals forever. Woohoo!
They all bring different contributions to the friendship.
Prue is definitely kind of like the brains of the group, but they always work well together.
Abigail is super silly. She's really funny, she's really adorable, and she has a really big heart.
I don't know how much of a competition it's going to be. Because we're all gonna do equally well and then braid each other's hair in celebration?
Lucky is very free-spirited. Abigail or Prue will be like, oh, there's Lucky going with her crazy idea again. But no matter what, they always have each other's backs.
The first step to being a fearless explorer is being fearless.
And she meets this wild Mustang.
Hey, you!
Spirit is just as free and adventurous as Lucky is.
The focus of the show is the relationship that Lucky makes with Prue and Abigail and a bond of friendship that she develops with Spirit.
They never stop growing and always go on adventures together.
I'd love to get my hands on that treasure. I bet it's gold. Or kittens. But probably gold.
I think girls will watch it and be empowered and be able to find their own inner adventurer.
You up for a ride?
What can I help you with, Lord of Darkness?
I'm looking for a date.
The date is Friday, July 13th.
No, I want to meet someone.
Understood. You want to eat dim sum.
Don't you get it? I want to go on a date. I'm lonely.
I understand. You want baloney.
Too many eyes. Too few eyes. Not into tentacles.
Dad?
No, babies!
You're stressed out from working too hard. You need a vacation from running everyone else's vacation. And I know just how to fix it.
Mavis, where are we going? A cruise?
Surprise!
Oh, no.
Dad! Come on, there's so much to do. You could go scuba diving. Try some exotic food. Or just enjoy the view.
Okay, Dad, thank you.
Maybe you'll find your own fireworks on the cruise.
It's not the Love Boat, Frank.
Ahoy there! I am Captain Erica. You must be the one and only Dracula.
Dubide, shula, kubide?
There's something about an accent that makes a man sound so intelligent.
Dubide, shula, kubide.
You nailed it, honey. Best summer vacation ever!
You were right, great-grandfather Van Helsing. Monsters are disgusting. They have no idea what's about to happen to them. It's all going according to plan.
There is something about that woman I don't trust.
The food here is to die for.
Must have been garlic in the guacamole.
Isn't that deadly for you?
Was that you? Oh no, Blobby's gonna puke.
We got this! Girls rule!
My biggest thing for me as a kid was I wanted to inspire people. I wanted to impact society in a positive way. And I knew I wanted to do that with entertainment.
The first step to being a fearless explorer is being fearless.
I always wanted to entertain and just make people feel and make them feel good and laugh and smile and maybe sometimes cry.
That's a start, but you still have a lot to learn. All right!
Girls Inc. LA's mission is to inspire all girls to be smart, strong, and bold through empowerment and enrichment programs.
That's your Girls Inc. Right.
It was awesome to see all of the excitement in the girls' faces when they see, a lead female character being awesome, being brave.
It was wonderful seeing actual real-life girls responding and recognizing themselves in these characters that we created.
It's fun, These girls have fun. We are adventurous, and I think that is the most beautiful message that we can send to these young women is that you are free and just run.
Let's show them what we can do.
As a writer, it's so important to put not only girls on a screen, but different kinds of girls.
Not only is the show going to be empowering for girls, but also it helps women feel like they have a voice too and that they can be heard.
Yay! Well, my favorite part was that she was bold and that she wasn't going to stand down because somebody told her to do it. Girls are tough, and they may be a little bit more smarter.
You guys want to learn how to draw a horse?
Yeah.
Okay. Should she be smiling? Yeah? Okay. Working with the girls was fantastic, especially when it came to drawing the characters. They had such an intensity about them, and the girls were so willing to learn and work together.
Those look so good. What I wanted them to take away was that, sure, I'm showing them the one way that I would do something, but they can take that knowledge and then go and make their own way.
You're gonna face 1,000 people telling you you can't do it, and just knowing that you can and that you love it, that's enough.
It wasn't really a matter of getting into drawing so much as it was just not giving up on drawing. And then all it takes is just continuing to do it.
On Spirit, over half of the crew are women and some men. We picked the best people, but the best people were women.
I would say my biggest piece of advice I could give to young girls is to support your fellow sisters and be kind.
Something that is important for young girls to see is like, you're not gonna be perfect. None of us are. We're all gonna make mistakes, but the thing is if we try our hardest, then everything will be okay.
To me, Press for Progress means making a seat at the table, not only for yourself, but for the women who come after you. It means mentorship, and it means pushing for yourself and for the young woman who you know will face the same challenges you face down the line.
Great answer.
I'm gonna ride, I'm riding free, so come along, let's go. Today is a very fun and inspiring day to me. I want to be an artist when I grow up. It was a privilege to experience this, and it taught me that girls can do anything.
Press for empowerment. Press for equality. Press for progress.
Girls are just so cool, and they can do anything they want to.
Every so often, there's a reason to go to the movies. Here's 4.
Judge Myers?
Yes. Rev up your love life with these tips.
Do you need anything else, Your Honor?
A man of your dreams is just a click away.
No, I don't. I'm fine, thank you.
Yep.
We are 4 smart, successful women. I don't need a man. What is the point?
Who still has any interest?
Ladies, I am not going to let us become those people who stop living before they stop living. I would like to introduce you to Christian Grey.
This is for mature audiences. Certainly sounds like us.
Oh, wow.
Slim?
My, oh, my.
What's it been, 40 years?
That's impossible. That would mean I was only 6. This is going to be a game changer. Oh, you need some help? I don't think you have that on quite right. Can you get me some scissors? I can't feel my feet. Do you even remember your last date? We're talking Nixon era.
Shh. Pretty sure he knows you're in here.
I don't care what society says about women our age.
You are better at this than you think you are.
The choice should be ours. Shut up and kiss me. Do we want another bottle?
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Valerie Jarrett and Jordan Brooks.
Hello. Good morning, Los Angeles. Welcome. Welcome to the second ever United States of Women Summit. We are thrilled to be here with you today in Los Angeles, where we've been welcomed with really wonderful open arms by an incredible host committee, incredible community partners, and people who are doing really, really amazing work on the ground right here in Los Angeles. And I'm really proud to say there will be more than 5,000 people here today and thousands more watching on the live stream, so thank you all for being here with us.
Well, good morning, everybody. You look fabulous. So our goal is really threefold. Number one, to convene, and you're here, you showed up, so we've done number one, right? Number two is we want you to connect with one another. Don't you leave here without meeting somebody you don't know when you come in the door. Leave with 10 new friends, leave with 20 new friends, and talk to one another. And then the other thing we want to do is we want to amplify what works. You know what works because you're out there doing it every single day. We want to put the spotlight on solutions. We want to arm you with what it takes to go back to your communities and be forces for good for women. And that includes men too. They need to learn what to do as well.
That's right. So you might be asking yourself, what is the United States of Women? What does it look like? Every conversation you'll hear today will answer the question in its own way, starting this morning. You'll hear conversations out of powerful vision statements from women and girls who are doing really great work to say what the United States of Women they hope will be. This weekend we'll explore an array of issues, everything from healthcare to violence against women, to economic security, to empowerment broadly, to running for office, and things that impact women and girls around the country. In every conversation, you will hear calls to action, because that is what we're here to do today. We want you to leave, as Valerie said, with really specific, concrete things you can do to go home to your communities, but really also with inspiration to step out into your power when you get back there.
Woo, woo. So what does the United States of Women look like? It looks like you. You are the United States of Women. We traveled the country leading up to this. You know we had a summit 2 years ago in Washington, and since that time, we have heard absolute passion about continuing this hard work, and so we just wanted to create the forum for you to do what you do. I was backstage earlier talking to Sophia Bush, who'll be with you in a minute, and she said what I think sums it up. If not us, who? That's the question we're going to answer today. You know the answer to that. It's all about you. Go out there and change the world. Thank you so much for coming, everybody.
Please give a warm welcome to Anja Marie Alfaro and Alicia J.
Good morning, United States of Women. I'm here to talk to you about something we've all heard of, intersectionality. If you Google intersectionality, you will get about 600,000 hits, and about 999 of them will be missing out on some things that you're going to learn today. Intersectionality is about the idea that we are not just our gender on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and we are not just our race on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and then we take Sunday off. We are all of who we are every single day in every single way. So here's the secret that Google won't tell you about intersectionality. Intersectionality is about power, and it's about power being built, power being shared in solidarity. And the number one thing we want you to do today is to think about power and solidarity, how we build it and share it. Thank you.
I have had the immense honor of helping to design today's program. And as you just heard, intersectionality is a powerful concept. The speakers, workshops, and framing for the summit were an opportunity to demonstrate what you get when you invest in an intersectional framework. More nuanced conversations that recognize our whole selves, a deeper understanding of the challenges that we face, and solutions that reflect the needs of those most impacted. For United State of Women, this is one way that we are living our values, and we look forward to continuing to do this important work with each and every one of you. Thank you.
Welcome Tongva leaders Tina and Jessa Calderon, Native Americans in Philanthropy CEO Sarah Eaglehart, and Indigenous leaders to the stage for our opening ceremony.
We offer thanks to Creator this beautiful day for bringing us all here safely and for all the blessings He bestows upon us. We honor our elders and our ancestors. To the north, Tomi; to the east, Komi; to the south, Ketaime; to the west, Paime; and on through the west gates into the heavens we call Tokupad, where our ancient ones watch down and guide us. We honor them today with a song. Tai hunu ne question neshun, tai hunu ne question neshun, na hakwa nation, na hakwa e, na hakwa nation, na hakwa e. Tai hunu ne question neshun, nai hunu ne question neshun, na hakwa nation, na hakwa e. And for each and every one of you, we ask for blessings. May you receive the knowledge, the information, and the inspiration to make great changes. Aho, the Hov Kopo'ami, travel safely.
Thank you. Please welcome actress-activist Piper Parabu and Olga Segura to stand on stage with us today.
Thank you, Sarah and Tina and Jessa, for welcoming the United State of Women to Tongva land. I believe it's important that we acknowledge our history and amplify the issues of the first peoples of this land.
With Time's Up, know that sexual assault happens way too often in America. But did you know that 1 in 3 Native American women is assaulted in her life? And data is not available for the growing epidemic of thousands of missing and murdered Indigenous women.
We are honored to stand with our Indigenous sisters today and sing the Women Warriors song.
This song honors thousands of missing and murdered Indigenous women. Please stand and join us.
Hey, 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 yah-hee-yo, yah-hee-yo, hey, hey, yah-hee-yo, yah-hee-yo, hey, hey, yah-hee-yo, hey, 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 yah-hee-yo.
Wopiletin Kashala, Midakuya Oyase. So thank you, Creator. We are all related. As a Lakota, I have been taught that the sacred cycle of life is feminine. The moon, the sun, the earth, you and me. I grew up knowing that I had a greater responsibility than just to myself through the prayer of Midakuya Oyase, we are all related. My hope for the United States of Women is to remember and to relearn the sacred connectedness and responsibility that we have for each other, now and always. It is time for America to make visible the invisible and acknowledge omitted history. Now is the time to break free of false narratives that divide and disempower. The destabilization of Indigenous communities happens by disempowering women. The playbook has been to suppress and oppress, and now we have the highest rates of missing murdered women. If this can happen to us, it can happen to you. When we ignore the past, we sabotage our future. And so now we offer the wisdom and worldview of Indigenous people to help heal the world. Indigenous peoples are the second largest population worldwide and care for 80% of the biodiversity on this earth. Native Americans in philanthropy proudly advocates for innovation, impact, and investment in tribal communities. I challenge each of you to tweet about our issues, acknowledge and share omitted history with your networks, and make sure that we are at the table. The future of this country is in this United States of Women. And together, we are going to change America. Midakuya Oyase.
Please welcome Dolores Huerta, Monica Ramirez, and I-Jen Poo.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. I want to thank all of you for taking the time to be here. This is going to be such an important moment, not only in our lives, but in the history of women, in the history of our United States of America. You know, Coretta Scott King said, "We will never have peace in the world until women take power." I'm going to amend that statement just a little bit to say, we will never have peace in the world until feminists take power. And what is a feminist? A person who stands up for women's reproductive rights, immigrants' rights, LGBT rights, who care about labor unions, and of course, to preserve Mother Earth. So we all know we have a lot of work to do. And this gathering today is just one of the many steps that we have to take to make sure that we achieve that goal. We have to be in all of those positions where decisions are made, because I can assure you, if there is a meeting anywhere in the world and there are no feminists at the table, they are going to make the wrong decisions. So as we're gathered here today, we're going to be bringing up our emotional fortitude, our inner strength. We're going to strengthen our courage. We're going to get rid of our inhibitions, because we know that we have to step up, we have to do more. And everything that we learn here today, we are going to take it to everybody that we know. We can no longer be silent. Our voices need to be heard. We have got to be missionaries. We have got to be organizers. Every single moment going forward, the world depends on us as feminists to make sure that we can be the change makers, we can be the healers, we can be and are going to be the leaders, not only for our country, but for our world. Can we do it?
Yes!
I'm going to ask you all a very simple question. And the question is this. I'm going to ask you who's got the power. And I want you to say, we've got the power. And when I say what kind of power, I want you to say feminist power. Okay, let's do it. Who's got the power?
We've got the power!
What kind of power?
Feminist power!
Are we going to go out there and organize? What do we say? Can we? Si se puede. Yes, we can. Let's do it all together. Si se puede.
Si se puede. Si se puede. Si se puede. Si se puede. Si se puede. Si se puede.
Muchas gracias. Thank you. Thank you.
Good morning, sisters and brothers. It is a wonderful day today. So much power in this room. My name is Mónica Ramirez, and I am the co-founder and president of Alianza Nacional de Campesinas, the National Farm Worker Women's Alliance. We're proud to be here with you. We represent the interests of the 700,000 farm worker women who pick, pack, and plant the food that we eat. And right now, we are living an incredible moment where we are proud to be linking arms with individuals across sectors and across movements and across communities to fight back against the pervasive workplace sexual violence that affects far too many individuals in this country and this world. And we are here because we need to ensure that every single person in this room, every single person watching live stream is with us in this fight. Because until every single one of us is safe, then none of us will truly be safe. We have to honor the work that's been done by all of those who've come before us, all of our ancestors who have paved the way for the moment that we're living now. And we have to build on the work that's been done over decades. And among the most important things that we call on all of us to do is to reflect on the role that each of us will play in changing the world forever to ensure that all places, every single workplace, is a safe workplace where people can live and work with dignity. In order for that to happen, we know that we have to show up. We have to show up for each other, for ourselves, and for the many generations to come, to speak out against the wrong that's being committed without judgment, without any other factor reliant upon the fact that we together believe that no one should ever be afraid of going to work and being harmed. And as we do our work, we call upon all of us to think of not only those women and men and children who we know,
but the countless women, men, and children whose names we will never know, but who also deserve to live and work with dignity and in safety. And let us not forget that the magic truly happens when we are able to think beyond ourselves and work toward the betterment of all of us. Together, we know that we can, and we will do that with you. Thank you.
Women are powerful. We power our families as caregivers. Women power the economy as workers. We get things done without credit or equal pay in visible and invisible ways. Representing domestic workers and home care workers, we know what it means to do the work and never be seen. But we know we are powerful.
That's right.
And as women, our activism is powerful too. From Ella Baker to Sylvia Rivera, from Wilma Mankiller to Audre Lorde, our organizing has made this democracy what it is today. It turns out, defending democracy and expanding justice is women's work.
That's right.
Always has been. But there's something really unique about this moment for women. Our activism in the past has changed the country, but we've never run the country. We have changed the rules, but we never made the rules. We have changed the culture, but we have never set the culture. We have always powered everything, but we never truly owned power in this country. Until now. Despite all the suffering, crises, and violations of this time in American politics, make no mistake, it is our time. The women who came before us fought for basic rights and dignity, for inclusion and recognition, but today we're launching a new fight. From the boardroom to the State House, from the media to the White House, it's our time to run it all. But the reason why I want us to run things is not for the sake of running them. It's because when we run things differently. When we have power, not only do we not abuse power, we share it. When we set the culture, we know there will be a place of honor for everyone. We are going to make every single community and workplace safe because we're survivors. We're going to make every job a job that pays a family-sustaining wage because we've been working too hard for too long for too little. We are going to take care of our caregivers because we are caregivers and we need care too. We are going to support the leadership of trans women because these gender norms have oppressed us all. We are gonna follow Black women and Native women and immigrant women because we know a hopeful future for our democracy is best envisioned by the people it has hurt the longest. And we also know that me having power doesn't mean that you won't. Right?
That's right.
We will declare the end of zero-sum politics. We will build a nation that holds us all up and keeps us together rather than pit us against each other. That future is completely within our reach. This is our time. But the only way we get there is to build our power together. And when we own our power together, that is when we win the entire nation. That is how we get free. Are you with me? Are you with me?
Letting it breathe, everybody, letting it breathe. And Sophia Bush, walkouts.
Please give a warm welcome to Sophia Bush.
They played me on to Beyonce. They know me. I feel seen. Thank you. To move on to something serious and monumental. On January 19th, 2017, 18 women filed a federal lawsuit against Larry Nassar, USA Gymnastics, and Michigan State University. It told how Larry Nassar abused hundreds of young women and girls under the guise of medical treatments. It showed that when courageous young women reported the abuse, no one at those institutions tried to stop him. That lawsuit was the tipping point in a decades-long battle by survivors of sexual assault to be heard and to be believed. The 4 women you are about to hear from are part of that landmark suit, and it is an honor to bear witness to their experience. We must ensure that when women speak up the first time, we listen and we act. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Allie Reisman, Tiffany Lopez, Jeanette Antolin, and Jordan Weber.
Hi, my name is Allie Reisman. I wanted to start off first by saying thank you so much for having me. I'm very happy and honored to be here with these strong women. I also wanted to thank Aerie for their support in helping young girls and women feel confident and comfortable in their own skin. What an incredible past few months it has been for women. More and more women are being heard and believed when they come forward. Although our society has taken a big step in the right direction, we still have a long way to go. Speaking out is never easy. Each time I share my story, I relive my trauma. But in order to make change, sharing our stories and holding those accountable who abuse, enable, and look the other way is crucial. If we do not keep up the fight, sadly, history is likely to repeat itself. This problem is bigger than Nassar. The Me Too movement is not just in gymnastics or Hollywood, it is everywhere. I have recently partnered with Darkness to Light, the leader in child sexual abuse prevention, to flip the switch on abuse by encouraging all adults to educate themselves and to prevent and recognize warning signs of sexual abuse. If the adults at USA Gymnastics, the United States Olympic Committee, Michigan State University had been educated and had the character to do the right thing, I and so many others would have never, ever met Nassar. I encourage everyone to be a leader in your community and take this free, necessary training. The change starts with each and every single one of us. You will never be wrong for doing the right thing. Every single person in this room has a voice and deserves to be heard. Don't ever let anyone tell you anything differently. Thank you.
My name is Tiffany Lopez, and I was sexually abused by former Michigan State University team doctor Larry Nassar. I reported my abuse in 1998. Nassar wasn't arrested until 2017. Michigan State University failed me in 1998. I feel they continue to do so. 2 of the team trainers that I reported to are still on staff at the university. My voice is no longer silent, and I'm taking back my power. If I had been heard and believed 20 years ago, the women standing beside me, all of the 265 young women who have now bravely come forward as victims, would have been spared from the horrors of sexual abuse. Thank you.
Hi, you beautiful women. My name is Jeanette Antlin, and I'm a former gymnast. I was a 2-time world team member and a 3-time national champion. I'm also a survivor of sexual abuse perpetrated by Larry Nassar. Thanks to the media coverage, the Nassar case is familiar to a lot of you. Our stories have been told nationwide, but you know that 1 in 3 girls and 1 in 5 boys will also be a victim of sexual abuse by their 18th birthday. It's very alarming. It's a hard statistic to bear. It doesn't matter where you live, whether you're rich or poor, black or white, an aspiring Olympic champion, or just a normal kid. The reason sexual abuse is such a silent epidemic is because kids aren't speaking up and telling. They're being silenced. They're not being believed. We need to teach our kids that their voice matters, it will be heard, and we will listen. As a sexual abuse survivor, I'm determined to end this epidemic through the power of education and using my voice along with my sister survivors. There are programs out there like Lauren's Kids, Safer, Smarter Kids that empower children to learn about personal safety, and it's always okay to tell. And to keep telling until you get heard and helped. We will not rest until children in all 50 states receive these kind of lessons, from pre-K through high school, because change begins when you empower children to use their voice and teach adults how to listen.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
My name is Jordan Weber. I am one of the 42 million survivors of child sexual abuse living in the United States today. Dubbed the Fierce Five, my teammates and I tumbled and flipped our way into the hearts of Americans countrywide and achieved our dream of winning Olympic gold. But at what cost? At what price? Our governing bodies demanded excellence from us, and now we're demanding excellence from them for the future gymnasts. We have proven ourselves to be unstoppable athletes, winning the highest honors for our country while secretly suffering unthinkable hurt. Sexual abuse perpetrated by our team doctor, a serial child predator. The truth has now set us free, and the tenacity and drive we displayed on the mat will serve us well as we work to win legal battles and change the culture of child safety.
That's right.
For any child or survivor of sexual abuse who feels like they can't speak up, you are not alone, and your time is now. Speak your truth, hold your abusers accountable, and regain your power. No one, and especially no child, should have to suffer the way we did, and so many others still do. We will move onward to ensure that every child in America is able to live free in a safe life. Mark these words, it ends with us.
That's right.
I know I speak on behalf for everyone in this room when I say, ladies, thank you for your bravery and your voices. It will end with you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Fletcher. I would like to thank United State of Women for having me here today and allowing me to be on stage with these incredible women. Your stories are so inspiring, and I so admire you for your ability to share your truth and be vulnerable, and it's helping so many people. Thank you so much for having me here, and this next song I'm going to sing for you is a song I wrote inspired by the Me Too movement with two incredibly talented females to give a voice to the voiceless, which you have all done for countless women with your testimonies. So thank you for being here with me today. I stand with you, and I believe you. Is the sick to your stomach feeling with a smile on your face? Is the memory you ignored but you can't erase? It's the text in the middle of the night you didn't ask for. It could help your career, but at what cost? Are you holding back something that you're dying to say? Me too. Girl, I believe you. Are you losing your mind thinking, what will it take to make somebody listen to you? Me too. Is the room full of rumors and everybody staring? Did they tell you you were asking for it by what you were wearing? It's the stains from your makeup and tears on your pillow. It's the piece of yourself that you let go. Do you want to scream but just can't find the air? Me too. Girl, I believe you. Are you losing your mind thinking, what will it take to make somebody listen to you? Say step up and sit down and shut up and back down. So what's up, yeah, what's up with that? So we dress up, get felt up, get shot down, don't speak up, yeah, what's up with that? Are you holding back something that you just been dying to say? Me
not believe you? Are you losing your mind thinking, what will it take to make somebody listen to you? Me too. Me too. Girl, I believe you. Girl, I believe you. Do you know every battle that you gotta face is making you bulletproof? Me too. Girl, I believe. Thank you.
Please welcome Mayor of Los Angeles, Eric Garcetti, and First Lady, Amy Wickland.
Good morning, everybody. How we doing? Well, welcome to the City of Angels, and we couldn't be more excited to have the United States of Women here in LA. And my wife and I, we are up here together for a reason. Gender equity is an integral part of our relationship and our life's work. As feminists, as activists, we've been fighting for a more equal world for our entire lives. From my time as an undergraduate when I chaired the National Student Coalition Against Harassment, to work that I did in Ethiopia to further women's rights and women's health in a country where too many folks like here saw violence visited upon their bodies. Those experiences fundamentally shaped who I am, who we are, deepened our activism, and inspired us to make policies that end discrimination in its tracks once and for all. Freedom from sexual harassment and assault, pay equity, the right to control your own body and health, these aren't partisan issues, these are human rights. In fact, before I became an elected official, my first trip to City Hall was to join the group that was pushing for the implementation of the Convention to Eliminate All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, or CEDAW. We didn't get the job done from the inside, so I ran for City Council, and we got the job done my first year in City Council. And that became the backbone of the work from City Hall here in Los Angeles. Whether it was putting gender equity at the center of everything we did, the first trans jobs fair in this country, the honor I had to marry the first two women in the first same-sex marriage in this town on those steps of City Hall, we have always pushed for greater equity here in LA. And when I became mayor of this great town, sworn in by the daughter of an immigrant janitor, I held her dreams and the dreams of her mother and her grandmother in my arms and lifted them up, and took 3 steps that I wish every mayor and every governor and even every president would take too. First, change the face of government. I'm proud to say that in this city, for the first time in LA history, women hold more than 50% of all the board and commission appointments in this town. Put your money where your mouth is. In my office, we looked at the gender pay gap. And now I still have 2 cents to go, but it's 98 cents to the dollar in City Hall in my office. And guess what, private sector? Private sector always says we're so slow. We did that in just 6 months. So no more excuses that you can't do that with CEOs, you can't do that with your private boards. Time's up, get it done now. Here, in the City of Angels, we have women running the show, from a woman who is running our airport, where we're spending $14 billion to redo that airport, or the head of our Department of Transportation, helping us spend $120 billion to build 15 rail lines here in LA. Women get the job done. Step 2, Recognize you can't manage what you don't measure. We took Mount St. Mary's College just next door and for the first time studied girls and women and the impact of our policies on them. We brought those findings and I made every general manager, not just the Women's Commission, which is fabulous, not just a blue ribbon report, but everybody report to me each year what they are doing to promote gender equity in every department in this city. And then we held them accountable. You see, we fight for women because we fight for our city. And I want to say something to the men who are here. Let's get past saying we do this because we have a mother, or a sister, or a daughter. If women are doing it for themselves, men, it's time for us to do it for ourselves too. If you care about crime, you need to care about domestic violence. If you care about homelessness, you need to know 91% of the women on Skid Row are the victims and survivors of sexual and domestic violence, and get to work. Count on me. I am with you, and it is my honor to introduce your First Lady, a warrior in this fight, and the love of my life, Amy Elaine Wakeland. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric, and hello, United States of Women. Good morning. It is such a pleasure to be here with all of you. Nothing makes me feel stronger than being in a room full of people who are energized, inspired, and ready to change the world.
Yeah.
For me, gender equity is an important moral issue against which we ought to measure our society's success. When my husband took office, we wanted to tackle this issue head on. Did you know, you might, that 12% of women who work full-time are still living in poverty? That's one reason the Garcetti administration raised the minimum wage in LA to $15 an hour, the first city in the country to do this work. This effort lifted the income of 600,000 people. It provided raises for nearly 50% of all female workers in LA. The city of LA is including and promoting more women in leadership roles than ever before, especially in areas where men have traditionally led, because we believe that it is in those areas we can make the greatest inroads. Here's one of the things that we learned as a result of our gender equity work. Guess what? It's really not that hard to find qualified women to serve in leadership roles. All you have to do is one thing. You make a point of finding and recruiting them. Last year, the city's Information and Technology Agency in LA changed its personnel outreach practices, hoping to dramatically increase its female staff, starting with its internship program all the way up to the executive suite. Simply by revamping its recruitment process, this agency saw a 300% increase in women's employment in one single year. Today, 40% of our ITA programmers are women. The majority of our IT managers are women. And this is pretty phenomenal, again, for one major reason. Compared to the private sector, one woman is hired for every 4 men, and yet we are surpassing that in local government. LA's Bureau of Engineering also adopted new personnel outreach strategies, and since then, 43% of their hires have been women, and every department that hires engineers in the city of Los Angeles has now followed their lead, seeing increases in every single department in women who serve as engineers for your local government. So guess what happens when you diversify the workforce and its leadership? This also may come as a surprise to no one here. Well, you inevitably see a change in how you deliver services to women and girls. In LA, our public library STEM program is now majority girls. Well, why does that matter? Even the most elite private schools in Los Angeles have not been able to manage those kinds of outcomes. I'm also very proud of our Girls Play LA program. When we looked at the data that we now collect on the status of women and girls in this city for the first time in this city's history, we found that only 25% of the young people participating in our parks programs were girls. That is abysmal in this day and age of Title IX. So we got to work adding new programs for girls. Today, girls make up 45% of our sports and fitness program participants. And we did this work without taking a single sports slot away from a boy, because we can provide opportunities for girls without leaving the impression that you're robbing someone else. In LA, even our police programs fairly include women and girls. Our police cadet program is now 45% girls. Our Pledge to Patrol program, where Angelinos are hired to work for the LAPD while they get their college degrees, it's 56% women. Some of these women will work with our city's newly expanded domestic abuse response teams. These are called DART. This might surprise some of you, but until a few years ago, on-the-spot support for victims of domestic violence was not a universal right in the city of Los Angeles. Just 5 years ago, if a domestic violence victim was lucky enough to live in one of our 10 police divisions that offered on-the-spot services for them in terms of information about a restraining order or information about how to find emergency housing. If they were lucky enough to live in one of those 10 divisions, they got services. If they were unlucky enough to live in one of the divisions that did not offer those services, they didn't get them. 2 years ago, this mayor fully funded our city's DART program so that domestic violence services, unbelievably, in 2015-16, for the first time in LA history, became a universal right. So I want to thank you all for inviting us here. The City of LA has numerous booths here that stress the kind of outcomes that are possible when we focus on women and girls as a priority. I love the fact that this has such a great turnout, and I hope you all have a successful conference here today. Thank you for having us.
Please welcome to the stage Shannon Watts and Amber Goodwin.
Hello, everyone. My name is Shannon Watts. I'm the founder of Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America. I'm here because 5 years ago, I was angry and afraid after the shooting of 26 children and educators inside an elementary school in Newtown, Connecticut. It shook me to my core. As the mother of 5, I could not accept this as normal in America. I knew it was critical that the mothers of America rise up. The National Rifle Association may have high-powered lobbyists, but they are no match for moms who fear losing their children. I started a Facebook page dedicated to uniting mothers and gun safety advocates, and within a year, we had a chapter in every single state. Now, with Everytown for Gun Safety, we have 5 million supporters, and most of our volunteers are women. Women, particularly women of color, have always been on the front lines of activism in our country. Whether to end child labor or expand voting rights and civil rights or to clean up the water in Flint, Michigan, it's almost always women who are leading the charge. And for years, there was hardly any pushback against NRA lobbyists in the state houses in our country. But since Moms Demand Action was founded, we've stopped the NRA's priority legislation more than 90% of the time. And we've passed good bills too. We've helped pass laws in 26 states and the District of Columbia to disarm domestic abusers. We've pushed hundreds of businesses like Facebook, Target, and Starbucks to be more responsible when it comes to gun safety. And why are we winning in state houses and boardrooms? It's because women show up. We care. And especially after the 2016 elections, millions of us swore to never stand on the sidelines again. But I want to take a minute and acknowledge the privilege in that. How lucky are so many white women that they did not reach their own breaking points until after that night in November. How lucky am I that gun violence had not hit close to home for me until Sandy Hook. Many families do not have that freedom. Black children in America are 10 times more likely to be shot and killed by guns than white children. So while we fight for our safety, we have to remember the people who have never had the privilege of standing on the sidelines, who have never had the privilege of feeling safe in this country. We have made huge strides in the past 5 years. Don't let anybody tell you we haven't. But this crisis is not going away. If you want to join Moms Demand Action, please take out your phones and text the word JOIN to 64433. We need you in this fight. And with that, I'm going to pass the mic. I am incredibly proud to introduce a rock star of the gun violence prevention movement, Amber Goodwin of the Community Justice Reform Coalition.
Thank you, Shannon. Good morning. My name is Amber Goodwin, and I am the founder and the director of the Community Justice Reform Coalition. I'm a gun violence prevention activist, and I am a peacemaker. My friend and my hero, Erica Ford, started working on gun violence prevention over 30 years ago. She is not here on stage with me and Shannon today, and that's not because she wasn't invited. That's because she's home in Queens, doing the important grassroots activism every single day to reduce gun violence in this country. She's with her team in Queens, and they're actually celebrating. They're celebrating today. It has been 4 years since there has been a single murder in the community in which they have been organizing. 4 years. And 489 days since there's been a shooting in the community in which they've been working in. As we look to continue supporting the amazing, righteous, young activists that I have gotten to know, and that I've gotten to know their families and their communities, not just in Parkland, but across the country, we cannot forget about the women who have been holding us down and promoting peace across the country to prevent gun violence for decades. The Black women, the Native women, the Latina women, the Muslim women, the Jewish women, the trans women, the women that do not have platforms like we do. They're doing this work with little resources and many times without any respect. I think so many times, almost every single day, about how different this world would be, how different this community would be, how different this room would be had we given the same amount of respect and resources to Erica Garner that we are giving to young people today. A united state of women places those that are closest to the pain of everyday gun violence at the center of the solutions and gives them the power and the self-determination to figure out what those solutions should look like. This summer, Erica Ford and I, and the folks that you will hear from after me that I'm so proud of, regardless of age and race, we will go across the country and we will launch what we're calling the Peacemaker Institute, trainings to help our folks heal from trauma, the trauma of gun violence that so many people that look like us hear every single day. And we need your support. We need your help. I believe that I am a peacemaker every single day, but I believe that everyone a peacemaker. And with that, I'd like you to please join me in welcoming to the stage some amazing, amazing activists. Journey Jameson, a teen gun violence prevention activist from the South Side of Chicago. And survivors and activists from Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. Mei Ling Ho Shing and Tia Amoy Roberts.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Journey Jameson, and I'm 16 years old. It is an honor to share space with you this morning, and I'm here from the beautiful Chicago. When I was 9 years old, my best friend died from an asthma attack. And from that moment, I took an interest in Black and brown health. About 6 years later, I became part of a Black health collective called Ujima Medics that trains communities to take agency over their own health. The first workshop taught was a gunshot wound treatment to address the overwhelming amount of lives being lost to gun violence in my hometown every day. The second workshop was about asthma awareness to compensate for the breathing condition that is 2 times more likely to be fatal for Black women. I am also an organizer for Sacred Keepers Sustainability Lab, and we aim to educate and inspire people to inherit this earth and plant freedom. We accomplish this by facilitating events that integrate the conversations around environmental, social, and racial injustice. Those were the same injustices that resulted in the death of my best friend. Both of these roles are incredibly important to me, but being a woman is the most important identity that I could ever have. I can go train 20 people on how to save a life and then go to plant trees at the lake or start a community garden. And it is that versatility that makes being a woman so sacred. We have to cherish that, and we have to cherish each other. A United States of women looks like community care. It looks like wearing waist beads, doing yoga, healing your wounds, and most importantly, living your truth. Thank you.
My name is Mei Ling Ho Shing. On February 14th, I was on the second floor of the freshman building where I heard the screams of my classmates, teachers from the floors above and below. By God's willing, I am here, and I have something to say. As I watched my classmates go out and be activists, and I saw the nation galvanize around them, I sat there and I thought to myself, where was this when it was Black Lives Matter fighting for gun violence? I stand at the intersection of when a white and wealthy community comes face to face with gun violence and when Black and brown communities greet gun violence on a daily basis. Dr. Martin Luther King used the term redistribution of pain in the Mountaintop speech 50 years ago. I saw the meaning of redistribution of pain in the heart-wrenching tears of Sabrina Fulton, Trayvon Martin's mother, and the pain of the mothers of my classmates at Stoneman Douglas. Pain is pain. Now that we all can agree that bullets are fair and equal and do not discriminate based on race, sexual orientation, religion, class, or creed, it was #NeverAgain. When Black and brown lives really matter, when women of color really matter, when people of color really matter, then all lives will matter.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tia Amoy Roberts, and I'm a junior at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. Thank you all for being here. It is such an honor to participate in this event and share the stage with the most influential women of our time. Powerful women have been my strength throughout these past few months when I wanted to give up on myself and on the future. My mother, the strongest person I've ever met, pulled me out of bed and encouraged me to do something positive and affect change and make a difference. Subsequently, I'm dedicating my time outside of schoolwork to combating gun violence alongside my amazing classmates, because the deaths of innocent people should never be the norm here or anywhere else in the world. Gun violence isn't only about mass shootings. It encompasses all of the shootings that occur across this country every day. Every day, 8 children are injured or killed unintentionally by guns improperly stored in the home. When there is a gun present in the home, women have a 60% higher chance of being killed in a domestic violence situation. But that's only inside of the home. That doesn't take into account gun violence taking place in communities of color every day, or the suicides that we have desensitized ourselves to, or the excessive and even deadly force used by officers of the law sworn to protect us. What does the United States of women look like to me? It looks like women and girls all across this country feeling safe in their homes. It looks like mothers sending their kids off to school and knowing that they will come back that afternoon. It looks like this room right now. To get updates on how you can get involved, text ENOUGH to 877-877. Thank you.
Please give a warm welcome to Maytha Al-Hassan.
Magnetic. I could feel it from backstage. I was trying to decide between 2 poems, and one was kind of heavy, and I decided upon this anthem instead. And I'll just give you a brief origin story. This poem, it came out of looking up terms like lunatic and hysterical. Yes, yes. Those terms are actually misogynistic terms that came to describe women that could not be controlled or contained. So this poem came out of that. It's called Feral Femme. It's a celebration of our wildness. How many wars will be fought on our bodies, never vanquished, chasing triumphs to the gallows, prolonged purgatory. Cooing stillness and remembrance, they call us lunatic, moonsick. They call us hysterical, dysfunction of the womb. They call us crazy, full of cracks and unsound. Is resisting containment a disease? What other reaction can there be to a patriarchy that heats up Mama Earth for oil, stomps on fallopian tubes, forces sterilization and penetration, enslaves humans, owns land and water, plants terminator seeds, hunts animals till extinction, feeds children toxicity, creates poverty as condition, dreams in desolate dystopian futures, makes gods out of scarcity, and produces its own destruction. These are the real global wars of terror. Instead of banishing wars of terror, what do? We medicate, institutionalize the feral femme, make invisible and hush flashing siren abolitionists. But we will plot Sawaha dreams in patriarchy's belly, the belly where omnicidal rage is born of envy for our creation. Our crazy, inconvenient moon sick sensibilities, in that is the blueprint for freedom. Tight jeans, jilbab, ceremony dresses, 6-inch heels, fresh kicks, matte red lips, bare face, quinceañera, ruffles, unbuttoned blouses, blazers, shawa kameez, tousled hair, glorious afros, vibrant headscarves, big hoop earrings, low fade haircuts. This is us. We will build a world anew, not in some distant future, but every morning we rise and resist war. I don't say that we speak truth to power because we speak truth to this domination, because we are power. They may call us crazy, hysterical lunatics now, but soon they will call us freedom. Thank you.
Please welcome to the stage, Jess Wiener.
Hello, United States of Women! And people who identify as women! As a young girl, I became incredibly curious as to why I didn't see other girls like me and my friends in the media. I never really saw stories about the smart girl or the curvy girl or girls of any real depth or substance. I also never saw stories where girls were the heroes, where they had agency and voice. Instead, we were always on diets and waiting to be saved, or we weren't there at all. There seemed to be this huge gap in the way that we were portrayed, and I began to ask questions like why and who. Why isn't there better representation for women and girls in the media, and who is going to do something about that? And then I set out to create a career to answer those questions. I've been a social entrepreneur for 25 years, focusing largely on media representation in the entertainment and media space for women and girls. Because we cannot change these stories until we change the power structure for the storytellers. We need to democratize leadership in our boardrooms, in our writers' rooms, and in our C-suites. I now work with brands who have large global platforms, both to help educate and normalize this inclusivity. I've become an internal activist and advocate to the brands that I work with to help create the change from the inside out, from within those boardrooms and writers' rooms and C-suites. And I bring with me fellow experts and agitators into this space. And if there isn't a seat for them at the table, then guess what? We make a whole damn new table. This has become the model for my change making, and it's working. We know from our research that not seeing yourself reflected in media and culture has a tremendous impact on self-confidence, and it does something deeper. It erases people from visibility. Because when you disappear somebody from mainstream media, you disappear them as a body, a voice, and a vote. So who's gonna change this? Who's gonna change this? We are the change that we are waiting for. We are the CEOs of our own media empires. Whether today you reach 2 people or 2 million people with your social media, I want you to ask yourself this: how am I using my own platform to represent women and girls? What stories do I choose to share? What stories do I choose to comment on and forward? How can I influence with my voice and with my purchasing power? When I think about the future of what the United States of Women looks like, it looks like moving from the invisible to the visible. It looks like seeing and hearing stories from voices and bodies and points of view that we do not hear from now. And it will take all of us to do our part. And I look forward to continuing this work with you. Many of my incredible brand partners that I work with are here today, and I want to thank them for their support of this event. And one such partner that I've had the pleasure of working with for the past 7 years is Mattel. They understand that our dreams are intended to unlock endless possibilities. But by the age of 6, some girls will stop thinking that they can be anything, and in fact, they become less likely than boys to see themselves as smart. This is what we call the dream gap. And when a girl faces this dream gap, it robs her of the ability to value herself and to see her dreams as viable options. Mattel is committing to close the dream gap, and they need our help. So let's do it. Let's take a look at how role models play an important part in shaping the way a girl views herself and the world around her.
We have lots of great role models out there, but we really need more female scientists, more coders, more civil engineers, and can you believe most head chefs are men? Seriously? Seriously. I know. If girls can't see women doing these jobs, how will we know we can? You see, we really need more role models in positions of power. Boom.
So, at age 6 years old is when girls stop dreaming and thinking that they can be anything that they want to be, and start thinking that boys are smarter than they are. That's a problem. That problem is what we call the dream gap, and it needs to be solved. As you think about it, everyone has dreams. Little girls have dreams that need to be fostered and nurtured, and they need to see and believe that anything is possible. And we at Mattel take a responsibility in making sure that what we do is understand the value of play, of that period of time where you can imagine and be inspired to be and truly be anything that you want to be. We're doing amazing amounts of research, and we won't stop until we solve the dream gap. As part of that quest, we have partners, and we are so lucky and inspired to be partnered with role models like Ibtihaj Muhammad. Come on. So, I think it'll be an interesting little conversation that we're going to have, and I'm going to take Ibtihaj on a journey back to your youth, when you were a little girl, and you were dreaming and playing, and what is your earliest memory of play?
First of all, as a kid, I was a self-proclaimed queen of Barbie. At least in my house I was. I played with dolls for so long, for an uncomfortably long time, some would say, until I was literally about like 15 years old. I loved playing with dolls. I had a 3-story dollhouse that had a pool, had a Corvette, and you know, what I loved most about this time I would spend every day playing with these Barbies is that I could be anything that I wanted to be.
Yep.
I could be a firefighter. I could just chill and drive in my Corvette, right? And for me, particularly from my mom, she always thought it was important that her daughters in particular saw themselves represented in doll play. So I only had brown Barbie dolls growing up. Yeah. And I commend my mom because she saw the importance of representation for us even when we were kids. When we walked down the toy aisle, it was hard to find, you know, like a brown doll. We didn't have that many options. And that's what I love about Mattel. In this moment, to be inclusive, to be diverse, and to choose acceptance and inclusion over everything else is such a strong stance in this moment. And as a kid, I remember taking these little tissues or like little pieces of fabric I would find around the house and making little hijabs for my doll. And you know, it is so heartwarming for me to know that kids everywhere, Muslim and non-Muslim, will now have the opportunity to shop in the store and find a doll that chooses to wear hijab, because representation is so important.
Absolutely. You talk about your mom, and clearly a role model in your life, but who are some other role models in your life that you look to as aspiring?
You know, what I love about my mom in particular is that she never set limitations to me, or any of my siblings for that matter, in terms of what we could do. My parents always told us that you could be whatever you want, you can do whatever you want, but you have to remember to work hard. And as a young athlete, to see, you know, the Serena and Venuses come up and see them on television, to see them excel as not just women in tennis, but as women of color, and to be unapologetically Black, it did wonders for me. As a young athlete, it allowed me to unconsciously graft my aspirations, to see myself in places as a young athlete I never in my wildest dreams would imagine. And I know that without having someone like Serena, without having, you know, predecessors like Muhammad Ali or Dr. John Carlos, without having people like that, I don't think I would be sitting on this couch today.
Yep. You know, I think as you mentioned some of these role models in your life, and you as a role model for women out there and girls everywhere, in order to achieve, you have to have gone through some failures, right? I mean, it just doesn't happen, right? You have to persevere and go through failures. Talk to us a little bit about the failures and how do you persist in the quest to be ultimately everything that you want to be?
I can think of so many different parts of my journey and so many moments in my life where I was told that, you know, it wasn't happening for me, whether that was because I was, you know, an African-American woman in the sport of fencing or because I wore hijab. You know, people always want to put a cap onto what they think you can be, right? And for me, it's always been, you know, changing people's, you know, misconceptions that they have about who I am and proving other people wrong. Like, I love a challenge. I can do anything. I can, you know, do it better than you think that I can do it, and I'm here to show you how strong I can be. And when we think about failure, we think of it as being this negative thing. And for me as an athlete, I've always looked at failure as opportunity, right? It is a chance for you to go back to the drawing board, to continue to work hard, to see the direct result of what hard work looks like. That's one of the most amazing things to me about being an athlete, especially about being an individual athlete. When I lose, I don't have teammates to look to. It's on me. So when even in the face of defeat, I failed to qualify for an Olympic team in 2012, and I didn't look at that as this, you know, life-defining moment. For me, it was, you know what, that was God's plan for me. That's the way that it was written, and I'm going to continue to work hard, and I'm going to use that moment that people may see as failure. I saw it as an opportunity to prove to myself that I could do it, an opportunity to prove to the naysayers that I can do it, but also a moment to show anyone who had ever been told no in their lives, who had ever been told that they were too brown, that their hijab was too tight, that they are too girly to be an athlete. It was my moment to show each of us that we have everything inside of us we need to be successful, and you don't need other people's permission to be great.
So, those are amazing words and they're inspiring, but what can people do out there in their own way to take action, to feel that not only are they persevering through those moments of challenge, but also inspiring others to do the same?
So many of us look to others to be our cheerleaders, to encourage us, and I truly believe that you have everything you need to be successful. You don't need other people to encourage you. Don't wait for someone else to speak on a social issue or to solve a problem. Be the problem solver. You have everything. You're capable. You are strong. You can be that person, and it literally takes that moment of believing. I think that everything starts with a dream. I think the bigger the dream, the better. And you just have to know that deep down inside, you have everything inside to be capable and to be successful and achieve whatever that dream is.
Well, you certainly have inspired all of us and will continue to inspire girls and women all around the world. And I know I speak to all of you out there to encourage you to keep fighting, keep fencing, keep encouraging, keep inspiring, and keep believing that the little girls that are out there today need you all to be those role models and need you to continue to speak on their behalf and show them that they truly can be anything. Thank you.
Thank you.
Please welcome to the stage Jane Fonda and Patrice Cullors.
Good morning. When Trump was elected and the toxic bedrock of white supremacy in this country was exposed, I realized something. I've been involved with progressive movements most of my adult life, but because I was white, I am white, I realized that the lens through which I had been looking at race was too shallow. So I'm studying. You see, it takes more than empathy. It takes intention to even begin to comprehend what people of color, no matter their class, face every day. And how much privilege, quite unconsciously, is enjoyed by those of us born white, even the poorest of us. Imagine you're a single white mother of two, maybe 3 sons working 2, maybe 3 jobs just to make ends meet. You're constantly tired and stressed. You hope you'll manage to get them through high school in one piece. One's a pot smoker, but you think, well, I guess it's just normal teenage stuff. You don't worry too much. You pray that a promised rehab clinic will open in your town so that your other son, who is opioid addicted, can receive proper treatment in time. This is the white mother. Now imagine you're a single black mother with 3 sons, working 2, sometimes 3 jobs. You're constantly tired and stressed. You wonder if you'll get your son through high school at all, because only 50% of young black males finish 8th grade. You worry that one's a pot smoker because prisons are filled with young black men found in possession of even a few ounces of marijuana. Where you live, armed police are a constant presence. You go through every day with the fear that one of your sons will be shot on his way home because he pulled a cell phone out of his pocket. And no one will be charged. Where you live, young black men are by definition trouble. Where you live, all drugs are considered criminal activity. Addiction in your community isn't considered a public health crisis or an existential identity crisis. Oh no. No clinic is going to be built in your neighborhood. And if one of your sons is convicted for his small stash of pot and imprisoned, he's no longer eligible for food stamps, public housing, or student loans. He's forced to check a felon box when he applies for a job, which means he doesn't get hired. Having been in prison, he can be stopped and searched by police for any reason or no reason at all. And he can be returned to prison for the most minor of infractions. Because he's black, an ounce or two of marijuana means he is locked out of the mainstream society and economy for the rest of his life. Nor is it only your sons at risk. It's your daughters. It's yourselves. Women and girls of color are the fastest growing population within U.S. prisons, outpacing men by more than 50%. None of this is an accident. It's part of a strategy. It's a strategy developed in response to the gains made by blacks during the civil rights movement. Just as the first Jim Crow was created in response to gains made by former enslaved people during Reconstruction. It's called the War on Drugs. And it's increased our incarcerated population from 500,000 in 1980 to over 2.5 million today. The war on drugs has been intentionally designed to maintain a new racial caste system without ever being accused of racism. John Ehrlichman, Nixon's national domestic policy chief, said about the administration's position on black people, quote, "We knew we couldn't make it illegal to be black, but by getting the public to associate blacks with heroin and then criminalizing them heavily, we could disrupt their communities. Did we know we were lying? Of course we did," unquote. White people need to dare imagine the realities inhabited by people of color. Not only because this is the moral thing to do, but because we are, all of us, affected by racism. Institutional slavery stained our republic's founding, and systemic racism still saturates its soul. Slavery was and still is, in its new form, a method of wealth creation. That's why racism and class hierarchy can't be separated. Enslaved people were the only property that propagated itself, producing more property, more enrichment, and that's why racism and sexism cannot be separated. Racism allows the 1% to deceive the white working class and poor people into believing that though they may be suffering, at least others are worse off. Racism is what keeps poor people and working class whites from aligning with blacks to identify and topple their common enemy. Last week, the Legacy Museum on Peace and Justice, the first memorial to the victims of lynching, opened in Montgomery, Alabama. A white man was quoted as saying, "They should just get over slavery." But it's still with us in a variety of forms, both blatant and subtle. One new iteration is mass incarceration.
rounding up people of color by the thousands for alleged acts that are virtually ignored if committed by whites. Erasing those who are incarcerated in perpetuity from the national discourse, making the incarcerated work for slave wages, manufacturing products for our biggest corporations, products that we buy without ever knowing where they came from. Building more prisons and filling them with black and brown people maintains the new racial caste system, all the while denying any of this is racist. We're told it creates jobs. We're told it stops crime. And it's easy for whites to believe that, and even easier for us to look away. But it doesn't stop crime. By shattering already fragile social networks, slicing apart families, and creating a permanent underclass of desperate, unemployable Americans, the war on drugs and mass incarceration actually have done more to create crime. We had to wage a civil war to end slavery. We had to forge a civil rights movement to end Jim Crow, at least formally. And now we have once and for all to end the war on drugs and the construction of new prisons. And we must not ever again permit the replacement of one racial caste system for another, no matter how well disguised. And this will necessitate emptying the prisons of our own minds and treating and freeing the brave ideas and fresh solutions so long imprisoned there. And that's why I'm standing here with Patrisse Cullors. Part of my studying has brought me to her. You gotta read her book, I'm telling you. Patrisse is a performing artist, an organizer, founder of Dignity and Power Now, and co-founder of Black Lives Matter.
Can we just give it up for Jane Fonda being the whole truth? The whole truth, y'all. She really has downplayed her contributions, but literally, Jane Fonda is the truth and the whole truth. So every white woman in the audience, please take heed. I'm grateful to be here. Welcome to my city, y'all, Los Angeles. All day, every day. Nearly 2 decades ago, my older brother, Monty Cullors, was incarcerated by Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputies at the Pictish Detention Center, a county complex in Castaic. He emerged, in my family's estimation, a brutalized man. It changed Monty's life and our family forever. Certainly, it's one of the reasons I founded the advocacy group Dignity and Power Now and co-founded Black Lives Matter. It's also why this year I'm pushing to get a critical jail reform measure on the November ballot here in Los Angeles County. Monty had just turned 20 and was already displaying signs of mental illness when, in August 1999, he took our mother's car on a joyride in the San Fernando Valley. Teenage shit. After fleeing the police, he was arrested on charges of evading an officer. The mistreatment he remembers took place while he was awaiting trial. Monty was in a precarious mental state. He was diagnosed with schizoaffective and bipolar disorders while in jail. And while he was being transported after a psychiatric evaluation, he was beaten by 4 or 5 deputies. Monty was choked and he blacked out, and he awoke up in a pool of his own blood. Abusive treatment continued, and when my brother was moved to Twin Towers jail, he, and many people would say, was tortured. My brother was ultimately convicted of battery on an officer and the original charge of evading police and sentenced to 40 months in state prison. By the time he told the story of his treatment and jail to a lawyer, it was too late to sue. The devastating truth is that there are many Montys. People like John Horton, who died in his cell in solitary confinement in 2009. Officials said he committed suicide. His family maintains that he was bludgeoned to death. Or people like Juan Correa, who last fall was pepper sprayed after an altercation with another prisoner. And according to the authorities, he went into distress in the shower. Paramedics pronounced him dead. Because of neglect, betrayal, and brutalization like this, a coalition of advocates formed in 2011 to demand the fixing of LA County jails. We have made some headway, and in 2016, after 5 years of steady activism and 2 years after former LA Sheriff Lee Baca resigned amid a growing corruption scandal in the department, y'all remember that, we were able to establish the first ever Sheriff Civilian Oversight Commission. But there's more work to do. Correa's death last September was the second prisoner death in as many days. Only a few months earlier, 4 prisoners died over a 9-day period in LA jails. The Los Angeles County residents can help jumpstart another round of jail reform by supporting this proposed measure, the Reform LA Jails and Community Reinvestment Initiative. We are now gathering signatures here today in the lobby. Find us. If it's approved by voters, the ballot measure would accomplish several key things. It would give the sheriff civilian oversight subpoena power, the power to bring in officers and their documents, the power to track what they've said, what they've done, to hold them accountable. The measure would also task the commission with developing a plan to reduce the jail population and reallocate the funds from jail budget to the community-based prevention that we need. It's been nearly 20 years since my brother was first arrested and our family was stripped of our dignity. It is difficult for Monty to hold down a job. He has to continue to struggle with mental illness and PTSD, and he is currently in a psychiatric facility. What might Monty or John or Juan's story be like had LA County invested in rehabilitation instead of jails and prisons? We won't ever know the answer, but we can make sure that the lives of others turn out differently. We can demand that families have their dignity, have respect, have care. And today, if you live in LA County and you are a voter, you can sign a petition that can get us to the ballot box on November 6th. Thank you so much.
Sign the petition and volunteer.
Please welcome to the stage Elaine Welteroth.
How are we feeling today? I am Elaine Welteroth, and I don't know about you, but I am so ready for this powerhouse panel. Are you ready for this powerhouse panel? I sure hope you are, because I have the honor of welcoming to the stage 3 phenomenal women across 3 generations who I like to call space makers. They are making changes, but they are also reminding all of us that no matter how old you are, no matter what job you have, no matter where you're from, it's on all of us to create the change that we want to see. Because time's up on abuses of power. Time's up on discrimination. Time is up on underestimating the power of women. With us here today, we have U.S. Senator for California, Kamala Harris, who is, woo! Yes. So we have some fans in the room. We got some fans in the room, just a few. Well, I was going to give an introduction, but clearly she needs no introduction. Next, we have Brittany Packnett, who is, oh, okay.
It's a bunch of rock stars.
Brittany is an unapologetic organizer, an educator, a speaker, and someone who President Barack Obama calls a leader whose voice is going to be making a difference for years to come. And if you have not seen her TED Talk, please put that on your to-do list today. It is called It's About Time to Value Women of Color in Leadership. I agree. And last but certainly not least, we have someone who is so much more than just a beautiful, talented star of Blackish or of her own spin-off show, Grownish. She is an 18-year-old humanitarian, a STEM activist, an inspiring thought leader for Generation Z, and one of the smartest human beings I know. One day I plan to nominate her for president. Hopefully you will all join me. Welcome to the stage, Yara Shahidi. All right. Yay. All right. I don't know about all of you, but I can feel the black girl magic just emanating from this stage right now. Thank you so much for being here. Wow. Woo. It's like church. It's like Sunday in church right now.
A lot of
I'm really
amen.
hyped to be here.
Amen.
We're with it.
Yeah, hey,
All right,
everybody.
So let's jump right in. We have 14 minutes on the clock to get through hopefully 3 or 4 questions.
It's going to be really hard for me because I'm currently sitting next to my president.
Right. So,
You first, yes.
Good already. Good. All right, settle down, people, settle down.
Okay, go ahead.
So we are here to talk about what a united state of women really looks like. And I want to talk to all of you about how you're feeling in this moment with so many women coming together across generations, across color lines, across religious and economic divides to support women. But even in a moment like this, what are you seeing as barriers to achieving this idea of a truly united state of women, as my earring just drops off?
Well, I think that, first of all, women have always had strong and powerful voices for so many reasons that have to do with our life experiences and the responsibilities that have traditionally been placed on women. But the other thing, especially at this moment in time, that I think is so critical, and women have been so powerful, is speaking truth. Women know how to speak truth. We have to speak it all the time. And the thing about speaking truth that we know through our experiences is that speaking the truth can often make people quite uncomfortable. But what we also know from our experiences is that, yes, someone may walk away from that conversation not necessarily having enjoyed the conversation, but they will also walk away from that conversation respecting that it was an honest conversation. And that's what women are doing right now. And they're doing it from the young women who are part of the Parkland movement to the young women who are part of DACA and been walking the halls of the United States Congress for months and months. The young women who are leaders of the Black Lives Movement. So much truth-telling with courage and therefore power. It's really exciting to watch.
So exciting, and you two are a big part of that for the next generation.
That's right.
Barriers. What are you seeing as barriers to a truly united state of women?
A barrier that I see being actively broken down is that of borders, and so I really appreciate that my generation, with our interconnectivity, whether that's social media, whatever it may be, has really come to these movements with this idea of globalism, this idea of caring for all women everywhere.
That's right.
And when you have that globalism mentality of not being restricted to love who you love based on geography, I feel like intersectionality is already there, because you're already thinking about everyone, and you're thinking about the differences and the differences that should be celebrated amongst you, and how do we support one another. And with that, I'm really inspired, because I feel like we create such an impenetrable support network for one another to turn to.
I agree. That's right.
I couldn't agree with Yara more. You know, an Aboriginal activist, Lilla Watson, said, if you have come here to help me, then you are wasting your time. But if you have come here because you realize our fates are bound up with one another, then let us work together.
That's right.
That idea sticks with me, right? I'm not free until all of us are free. And I think, to your point, we are learning how to operate that way. The internet is a really powerful tool for that, because in order to stand with someone, I have to know them. And I can build relationships with people virtually, learn about where they come from. I've come to understand so much more about what disabled women deal with, and the power of trans women, and LGBTQIA folks and immigrant folks, and so many people who are not like me but who still aren't yet free. Because I have come in relationship with those folks and they have taught me so much, I am much more equipped to stand in solidarity and not just give basic charity.
Well said.
And it rhymes.
I got bars.
Yes.
Yeah.
She does have bars, I have to say. Several tweets in what you just shared with all of us. So each of you are very powerful change agents. You have big platforms, but let's talk about the communities that you represent and how important it is to activate those communities of everyday women, young people, people of color, women. How are each of you doing that?
So we have been working very closely with activists on the ground in Florida in particular, and here's why that's important. Florida is one of many states where if you are ever convicted of a felony, you lose your right to vote forever. And in Florida, you only need to commit theft of $300 or more for that to be a felony. In November, because of the tireless work of returning citizens and other activists on the ground there, Florida has the opportunity to restore voting rights to 1.6 million people. That would actually be the largest single restoration of voting rights since the 1965 Voting Rights Act. I mean, it would be historic. But I bring that up for two reasons. One, we have to recognize that opting out is a privilege, because there are a lot of people who want to opt in who are forbidden.
That's right.
So we have to recognize every time we step up to the ballot box, every time we step into that city council meeting, every time we step up to their protest, there are people that can't, and we need to stand up for them. The other thing to remember is that if our vote wasn't important, people wouldn't be trying to take it away from us.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
If it really didn't matter, you wouldn't be trying to take it.
You're exactly right.
If our voices didn't matter, you wouldn't be trying to silence people like us. So we have to remember never to cede our power, because it really does belong to us.
Yeah, go on. Sorry, I was just saying, one, love the work that you're doing, but I feel like that's what's really important about midterms and about educating ourselves. And so with 18 by 18, the midterm initiative that I'm doing, it really is about education and understanding that we have the right to guide the society that we live in. And rather than inheriting a broken system and feeling like we have to fit into that, we have the opportunity to shape it. I mean, you've heard me say this James Baldwin quote I don't know how many times, but my favorite James Baldwin quote is like, around the age of 5 or 6 or 7, you realize that the flag you pledged allegiance to along with everybody else did not pledge allegiance to you. And we have an opportunity to really shift that, especially with our manpower, especially with the fact that we are engaged and we are interested, and everything that is being voted on inherently affects us or somebody we know.
That's right. And right now, let's just be clear that, yes, people died for our right to vote, but also The Supreme Court of the United States in 2013 gutted the Voting Rights Act. And there have been since 10 separate federal court decisions finding intentional discrimination by states. One said that, and this is a quote, that the state with surgical precision attempted to suppress the African American vote. And so it's a precious thing. And it is something that we must respect it because it's precious because it's so powerful when you have it and you're disempowered when you don't. And here's the thing to remember, elections matter. Elections matter. Who is in office will determine things like right now what is happening, which is that they're trying to revive the failed war on drugs and revive mandatory minimum sentences. Elections matter in terms of who's going to make decisions about a woman's access to reproductive health care. Elections matter in terms of who is going to prioritize minimum wage and affordable child care and paid family leave. Elections matter in terms of, are we going to take seriously national security and understand that to keep us safe, we also have to have muscular diplomacy. Elections matter. And that's our power to decide who we elect into office. And 2018, it's less than 200 days from now, and we cannot replace these days when they're over. So every day counts. We don't want to wake up after November 6th and regret that we could have done something else. We could have brought somebody to the polls. We could have made sure that it's our mission. So I agree with you.
They're alive today.
Yeah, they woke.
Well, we have all witnessed what happens when women, particularly women of color, flex their power at the polls. Let's talk about how things might be different if we succeed in getting more women and more young people involved in the political process, particularly in this election, which we are months away from.
Why don't you start?
Yeah, well, I'd have to say that young people in general and Gen Z make up so many intersections. When you think of our identity and the fact that we have reclaimed our right to our identity and to identify how we want to, it's extremely powerful. And I feel like oftentimes our political process doesn't reflect that. When you look at the impact of the civil rights movement and the women's rights movement, it inevitably affects who we are today. But there was the unfortunate realization that people had to divide their identity to get there. There was a choice between are you a woman, are you a person of color? And in any great movement, you had to make that choice. And I feel as right now with the reemergence of every movement, we have to realize that everything is so intertwined and it must be treated as such. When we talk about gun control, we are talking about protecting the students of Parkland. We're talking about protecting Stephon Clark in his backyard. We're talking about all of that. And so us being involved means that you cannot separate the humanity from the issue at hand. You cannot separate our lives because who are we not to be? We have the right to be able to sit here and do more than just focus on surviving and focus on the surviving of your brothers, sisters, uncles. You should have the right to thrive here.
That's right.
Man.
That's right. That's exactly right.
I could not agree with that more. I've been in Alabama twice in the last 10 days or so. And I was there in part to stand with a young woman named Shakisha Clemens. So Shakisha Clemens, if you don't know her, her video went viral as the police were called on her because she asked Waffle House for their corporate phone number to file a complaint. 3 police officers manhandled her, wrestled her to the floor, exposed her to the restaurant, while other patrons just sat there and finished their food. And it reminded me of 2 things. One is that unfortunately, we can never choose that moment when racism chooses us.
Yeah.
So we have to choose to stand up every single chance we have. But I'm also reminded that, people talk about broken systems. The reality is a lot of systems are functioning exactly as they were built to. They were not built for people like us. And so we're suffering at the hands of them. And the other reason why I was in Alabama was to visit the new National Lynching Memorial, the National Memorial for Peace and Justice. And lynching, just like so many systems now, are a tool of terror to tell people America is not your place. But I know exactly where the pack nets are buried in Centerville, Mississippi. My ancestors helped build this country for free with their bare hands. Every place is my place. Every place is your place. Every place is you all's place. And so what the world can look like if we actually decide to stand up and take our rightful place is that we create the future, to your point, that we actually want to see, and that includes all of us.
I'll just add that I think there's no question that that's exactly right. It's about taking control, owning your power. And so here's the thing that I also want to mention. So most of us have been in many situations where we're in a room, and that could be a boardroom, a courtroom, you name it. We're the only one that looks like us. Or the only one who has our background or thinks like us. And so the beauty of a moment like today is I want everyone to look around here and see the numbers and remember that when you are in that room, we are all in that room with you. And so you speak up, and you speak out, and you own that power, and don't let anybody suggest to you you're the only one.
I feel like people are going to start praise dancing up and down the hall. The collection plate. Where is the collection plate? Yeah. So.
That's right.
We never get help. We never get, anybody goes, I was raped when I was 18, and the person who raped me when I was in prison has never been put to justice, and that's why I do the work that I do. Because there's so many women leaving prison with more trauma than they ever endured in their life, and we too need to
That's right.
And on that note, there is so much warranted distrust in the government right now. Warranted distrust. And
She was,
part of the
sorry,
time...
people are asking what she said.
Oh,
she
go
was
ahead.
talking about the ways in which imprisoned women are often discarded and forgotten, especially the women who face sexual harassment, assault, and abuse and rape within that. And so she is doing work and leading that. She's right down front if that's work that you want to join and support. Can you tell us your name?
My name is Celia Colon.
Celia Colon. Fierce Over 40. Yeah. So come find Celia.
And so also, we have a bill right now. We have a bill right now in the United States Congress that is about dignity for incarcerated women. And because we need to also, by law, recognize that it should be protected, these women should be protected and given dignity. There are states where women are shackled during childbirth, right? Oh yeah, it's something that is, and thank you for using your voice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You know, there's one of the tenets of the founding principles of the Time's Up movement is that, you know, anger can't be your message, but it can be your motivator. And one of the things that you say, Senator, is we have to be joyful warriors.
Joyful warriors. I am a joyful warrior. I'm gonna find time to sing. I'm gonna find time to dance. I'm gonna find time to have a little fun. In between shouting and sometimes cursing and sometimes some other things. But we have got to find joy in this fight. And we can find it in each other.
Yeah.
But we have got to keep our energy up. This is sustainable.
Yes.
And let's just keep marching on with joy.
Yes.
Joy,
And on
joy,
that
joy.
note, Thank you so much, ladies, for being here today. Thank you to all of you. And thank you so much for sharing your voice. Hopefully everybody got heard. So let's say your name one more time and your organization. Celia Colon of Fierce Over 40. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much, ladies.
Please welcome Danita Short.
Hello? Hi, everyone. I'm very nervous. It's very exciting to be here today. So my name is Danita Short. I want to first of all thank you all for attending this amazing summit and supporting this movement that's dedicated to making a difference. I'm here today because I was given an opportunity and somebody believed in me. I grew up on a farm in rural Alberta, Canada. I was lucky enough to have a very supportive woman in my life, my mother, who encouraged confidence and creativity from a young age. And she's here somewhere too. Hi, Mom. I went on to become an emergency and trauma nurse for 12 years. However, the last 20 months of my life, I took a chance to do something I believed in order to make an impact. I founded a fashion brand, Land of Distraction. I wanted to inspire women to wear something out of the box and express their inner badass. I wanted women to get out there and live, regardless of age or demographic. The feeling comes to me from my passion for motorcycles and the freedom I've experienced riding across the country by myself. I always wanted to align the brand with an organization that supported a wide range of topics. I felt strongly that the organization should raise awareness for access to healthcare and education, and also support female entrepreneurs. United States of Women checked all those boxes. It's important to remember that women-owned businesses are a powerful tool and can make a big impact, but face significant barriers, including lack of access to capital and equity. United States of Women is working with partners to eliminate these barriers. I salute and stand in solidarity with them. We can all contribute to breaking down these barriers by empowering women through education and leading by example. Let's all encourage each other to overcome fear of failure. Thank you. It's my sincere privilege and honor to announce today the partnership between Land of Distraction and the United States of Women, as well as debut the 2 t-shirts with the respective slogans, Land of Equality and Barriers Were Meant to Be Broken. They're available for purchase in the lobby and online at our website. For every shirt purchased, Land of Distraction will proudly donate 100% of the proceeds to the United States of Women. So, what difference can I make by buying a t-shirt? Well, these t-shirts are a vehicle to help spread the word about United States of Women and to support this powerful movement. If you don't get a t-shirt, you can still participate. We will also make a $1 donation up to $25,000 for every post shared on social media using hashtag Land of Distraction and hashtag State of Women. So let's use this platform today and make an impact. Please don't be afraid to post now, and let's trigger some donations. I'm proud to be a part of this global shift, and I encourage you to dream big and know that your dreams can become a reality. I'm living proof of this. Be strong, be bold, be kind, and don't be afraid to take a chance.
Please welcome to the stage Jen Brown and Tracy Sturdivant.
Hello, I am Jen Brown. I'm the Executive Director of Civic Nation, which houses the United States of Women, in addition to 7 other large-scale culture change campaigns, including It's on Us, and vote together, which you will be able to learn more about in today's panels. I am here and so honored to introduce you to Tracy Sturdivant from the League. When the United State of Women team decided to have this event, we knew there was no way that we could do it alone. So I met with Tracy and her team at the League. I made the hard ask, and she said yes, and we're all here today. Tracy, this event would not have happened without you. Thank you.
Thank you. No, thank you, Jen, and thank you to the United State of Women team for all of your hard work. You know, this event was powered by the League because we believe bringing together change makers and culture makers creates uniquely powerful spaces like this one. Spaces that spark our imaginations, that kindle our inspiration. They bring us closer together. And we leave ready to roll up our sleeves and do the hard work. And there is already so much energy here in the room right now, and we're just getting started. Let me hear you say, fired up, ready to go.
All right, so since we're organizers, we have 3 asks for all of you as you go out into the panels that you're going to today. The first is to get yourself out of your comfort zone. Push yourself to really learn something new today. The second is to meet new people. I don't want anyone in this room to leave today without the phone numbers of at least 3 new people. And the third thing is that we want each of you today to create an action plan for how you are going to take what you've learned and how you're going to take the inspiration from today back to your community.
So this afternoon, we have a slate of thoughtful and thought-provoking breakout sessions that cover a wide range of topics. To find more information about the locations for those panels, go to usow.org. They feature some of the smartest, most innovative change makers out there. We have an expo center with its own incredible programming, like a female founders fast pitch and a mentors cafe. We encourage you to visit community partners from across the country and those here from Los Angeles to learn more about their work and how you can get involved. And last, but certainly not least, there are food trucks outside waiting to serve lunch. So, just to recap, between 11:20 and 4 p.m., go to 2 breakouts, head outside for lunch, and check out all of the fun happenings in the Expo Center.
Before we leave this beautiful space, on behalf of the entire United State of Women team, I want to thank you for being here with us. We are so honored to be in the fight for gender equality with you. We'll see you back here at 4.
Ladies and gentlemen, the funkiest horn section in Metropolis. Yeah.